Welcome to Beyond Hormones, the Business of Wellness, the podcast for hormone and functional medicine providers who want a thriving, predictably profitable practice and maybe a little less stress along the way. Hi, I'm your host, Jody Lane, and I've worked with lots of clinics in marketing, sales, and business development, and I have seen what works and what doesn't. And here's what I believe. Hormone and wellness care should be available to everyone who wants it. And while providers know the medicine, many struggle with the business side of their cash practice. And that's where I come in. See, this podcast is here to share real strategies, real stories, things you can implement in your practice right away. So I am so glad you're here. Come on, let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond Hormones, the Business of Wellness. I'm Jody, and this is episode 3 in our 6-part series on the biggest gaps hiding inside your clinic's marketing and sales. And today we're going to go over one of the most expensive habits in our entire industry, chasing new stuff. I'm talking about new leads, new prospects, new patients, new ads, new campaigns. Look, there's a character on one of my all-time favorite shows who loves to say that new is always better. And honestly, a lot of the time, he is right. I love a new dress. I love going to a new restaurant. But when it comes to marketing your practice, new is not always better. And it's also one of the fastest ways that I know how to lose a whole bunch of money. Because while you're going out buying the next new lead, the one you already paid for is sitting in your CRM system just going cold. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through 5 places your leads are quietly dying. Number 1, the phone calls nobody answers anymore. Number 2, the great conversations that somehow just don't turn into a booked consult. Number 3, the person who told you no in the first 30 seconds. 4, the education you're not sending. And 5, the follow-up stops way too early. All right, let's get into it. For all you longtime listeners, you know how much I love supporting hormone clinics to become the best version that you can be. So if you don't mind, I want to stop and share for just a quick minute about a product of ours that I think can make a real impact for you. And it's called Practice Automation System. Now, here's something most clinic owners I've spoken to never realize. They think their marketing doesn't work, when the truth is most clinics are often wasting up to 75% of their marketing budget without even knowing it. Not because their marketing is bad, no. It's because of what happens after the lead comes into the clinic. Now, according to studies, 87% of people don't answer calls from unknown phone numbers anymore. Can you believe that? I know I didn't know the number was that high. So when your office calls back a lead and the lead doesn't pick up the phone and you don't follow back after that, the money you spent to get that lead is gone. Look, the Practice Automation System is what we built to fix this problem. The moment a lead comes in, the system texts them in 5 minutes. It sends nurturing emails for weeks if they're not ready. It helps them move through a sales pipeline your team can actually keep up with. We built the foundation for this inside an actual hormone clinic, the one I worked at, the one I helped to scale to over $4 million in revenue. So every campaign tactic, every text, and every email language and timing was tested on real hormone patients before it ever became a product. For most clinics, as few as 4 patients a year covers the cost of the entire system. To find out if Practice Automation System is right for your clinic, go to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com/automation. That's acceleratedmedicalpractices.com/automation. All right, guys, now let's get back to what we were talking about. New is always better. You know who said that? Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. He's one of my all-time favorite characters on one of my all-time favorite shows. And you know, Barney had a lot of quotes on that show, but the one that stuck with me was this one because in so many areas of life, he is totally right. New is better when it comes to clothes. I love to shop. I have a closet full of dresses, but every time I get invited to a party, I somehow decide that I need a new one. New is better when you go to the grocery store. It's better when you're shopping for things like a mattress, a car, a pair of running shoes. But new is not always better when it comes to marketing your practice. And this is where a lot of clinics get tripped up because we do it without even thinking about it. We go after that new prospect. We find that new lead. We want that new patient. We want the new opportunity, the new ad, the new campaign. Because why? New is always better. And you know what that can be? It can be a gigantic waste of money. See, when you spend all of your time, all of your dollars, and all of your energy chasing the next new prospect, because somewhere in the back of your mind, you decided that the leads you already have aren't going to convert, you are burning money you've already spent. You paid for those people, those leads. They're sitting right there in your CRM, and yet you're out shopping for replacements. So today we're going to spend this episode proving my buddy Barney Stinson wrong. Well, at least in the case of marketing your clinic. And we're going to do it in 5 very specific ways. Number 1, we're going to talk about the unanswered phone calls, the great new problem of 2026. People hand over their phone number and then you call them and they ghost you. They just don't answer the phone. Number 2, prospects who talk to you, but they don't book an appointment at the end of the call. Number 3, people who decline initially, but maybe not forever. Number 4, educational nurturing and why you have to keep teaching people long after that first conversation. And number 5, why follow-up ends way too early and what that's doing to your bottom line. So do me a favor, stick with me, because by the time we're done, we're not only going to dispel this myth that new is always better, you're going to walk away with tactics you can put to work in your office tomorrow morning to get more out of the leads that you already have sitting in your CRM. Now, before we dive into the 5, let me tell you why this matters, no matter what kind of clinic you're running right now. Whatever you're doing to market your practice. And yes, I am talking to those of you who are saying to yourself right now, Jody, I don't do any marketing, so this doesn't really matter to me. I want you to pay attention because if you're adding patients to your roster, you are doing marketing. You just aren't doing it on purpose, but you are doing it. Some of you are doing very intentional marketing. You're running ads on Facebook. You're running ads and bidding on Google. You've got campaigns and landing pages and a marketing budget that's a line item for you to spend every single month. Some of you are doing it a little more passively. You post on social, you're on TikTok or Instagram a couple times a week. You send a newsletter and you've got a referral program. And some of you are firmly in that third camp. I don't market. I take care of my patients. The phone rings. People show up. The truth is, it really doesn't matter what camp you're in. Every one of you are exerting energy, spending money, and doing something, intentionally or not, to bring new prospects through the door. And these 5 things that we're going to go through today are going to give you better return on all of it. They will lower your cost per lead. And honestly, they're going to make you a happier practitioner because the patients who come in after being properly nurtured just are better patients. They want to be there. They understand what you do. They already trust you before they ever sit down sitting across your desk for their first consultation. So without further ado, let's dive in. Number 1, unanswered phone calls. Here's the thing about unanswered phone calls. There's nothing you can do about them. There's no tactic. There's no hack. And I want you to hear this from someone who is buried in this stuff. I listen to something like 25 different marketing experts almost daily, podcasts when I'm walking, newsletters in my inbox. I do courses, conferences. I am engulfed in this stuff. And I do it on purpose because my job is to gather all of that, synthesize the information, and then hand you what's actually useful. Now, in all of that listening, I have never once heard or read a single marketing expert explain how to get around unanswered phone calls. Not one, because it's just the way it is now. Spam calls are a fact of life. Look, I remember back in the 90s, you could put your name on the do not call list, and the threat of a $12,000 per infraction penalty was a real live thing. Businesses honored it. If you were on that list, your phone didn't ring. That doesn't happen anymore. Somewhere along the way, I think enough companies did the math and decided that it was cheaper to get pinged once in a while and pay the fine than to go through the painstaking work of scrubbing their lists. So everybody just threw the concept out the window. And yes, there is a do not call list, but it's practically a relic. So now we all get spam calls constantly from untraceable bots dialing for dollars. And I don't blame a single person for not picking up the phone. I don't answer the phone unless I know the number. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I don't even answer the phone when I do know the number. So what do? We find other ways to put ourselves in front of people. Here's what I've started doing with my own prospects, and I want you to steal this, okay? So write this down. First, when I get a lead, I send a voice memo from my phone to their phone. I don't use a tool. I don't use my CRM. I don't have any kind of software, and I am chock full of software. I love tools, and I have tools for everything, but not for this. This one is just me and my phone. Let me give you a real example. So one of our campaigns that we're running right now is called the Hormone Marketing Quick Fix Guide. It's a free download, 12 things you can do in your clinic to improve your marketing and sales. We're running it as a meta ad. And when someone downloads it, we ask for their phone number. It's optional. It's not required, but you'd be surprised. Most people do it. When a lead comes in, Patrick and I split up the week. I take Tuesdays and Thursdays. He takes Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we reach out 3 different ways. First, we have the voice memo. It's personalized and it's actually me and my voice. And I make sure to tell them right in the memo that I'm sending this voice memo because I believe and I know that they're not going to pick up the phone because nobody picks up the phone. No one picks up from an unknown number. So I've done a little homework on the clinic first. So I might mention something I noticed on their website and I acknowledge what they downloaded. I let them know I'm a real human being, not an automation. And I tell them if there's anything I can do to help, just say the word. Then, if I don't hear back in about 2 days, I send a video. It's short, 90 seconds, but I want them to put a face to the name because in today's world of AI, even a voice memo that sounds as personal as me talking to you right now can make somebody wonder if it's real. And then third, I send a personal email inviting them to come listen to the podcast and follow us on social media. Now, of course, I'm a marketer by trade, so I also have a very good automated sequence nurturing them behind the scenes after they download that guide. That's running no matter what. But those 3 touches I do are highly personal. They're from me or from Patrick, and they are our way of getting around the fact that no one's going to answer if I call. So here's tip number 1, and it's almost a mindset shift more than a tactic. Give up the anger. Let go of the frustration and don't have your front desk call a phone that people are not going to pick up. You know what? When they don't pick up, it's not a betrayal. It's just the times. So stop making everyone in your office crazy because you're frustrated because people give you their phone number and when you call them, they don't pick up. Just let's find another way to get in touch. Number 2, prospects who have a whole conversation with you and don't book a consultation. Now, this one I really remember. So to explain this one accurately to you, I want to walk you through something that you may have heard me talk about before on a webinar or maybe even on this podcast. It's the inbound marketing philosophy, which I subscribe to wholeheartedly. And basically it says that buyers are always in one of 4 stages. Now, the 4th stage happens to be after they purchase. So we're going to set that one aside for this conversation and focus on the first 3. Here's what they are. Stage 1 is awareness. This is somebody who knows they have a problem, but they don't know what it is. And they definitely don't know what the solution is. They just know something is off and they want to figure out what that is. So in our world of hormones, that could be a woman who suddenly can't sleep. Maybe things aren't great in the bedroom. Maybe she's gaining weight and she hasn't changed one single thing about her diet or lifestyle. And she's sitting there going, what in the world is going on with me? So she goes to Google, she goes to ChatGPT, and she starts hunting. Let me give you the same thing, but outside of our industry, because it's one of my favorite examples, and I've been using it for over 20 years. It's a woman who is pregnant. And she starts thinking about what she's going to do with her child, whether she should go back to work or not. So while she's pregnant, far away from making this decision, she starts poking around. What do people do with their kids when they go back to work? When's the right time to go back? How much should I expect this to cost? All of that is called the awareness stage. Now, stage 2 is the consideration stage, because now our prospect has figured out what the problem is, and she's now considering her solutions. So for our hormone woman, her research has told her this could be hormone imbalance, but it also could be stress. It could be some kind of virus that she's fighting that hasn't fully shown itself yet. There's a bunch of possibilities, and she's worked through every one until she decides which one is hers. Now, for our mom, she's trying to decide, do I go back to work and use daycare or do I stay home? And if it's daycare, is it a big commercial franchise center or the woman down the street who watches 4 other kids in her house? Or does her and her husband just eat the income loss and see if they can make it work? That's consideration. You're weighing all the options. Now, stage 3 is decision. This is the stage all businesses love because our prospect figures out what their problem is, knows what solution they want, and now they're just trying to pick who is going to help them with that solution. So for our hormone woman, she has landed on hormone imbalance. It's the most plausible explanation per her research. Now she wants to go get tested. So she's looking up clinics near her. She's trying telehealth to see if that suits her life better. She's off asking friends. She's reading reviews. She's looking at tons of websites. She's shopping for a clinic or a provider. Now, our mom, she's decided that daycare is what she's going to do, and she wants one of those bigger franchises. So now she's comparing the 3 in her city on price, location, and hours. Okay, so now when someone calls your clinic, asks a pile of questions, has a genuinely great conversation with your team, and then doesn't book a consultation, you can probably start to see why. You have no idea what stage they're in. Now, honestly, if you do talk to them over the phone, they're likely in the decision stage, especially if they're asking questions about price, about your hours, about your process, and whether you take insurance. These are decision stage questions. But here's the part that matters. Being in the decision stage does not mean you're the only clinic they're calling. They're doing their research. You could be called number 2 of 5. And then some of those people are in the consideration stage. They haven't even confirmed it's hormones. They're just gathering information. Either way, just because somebody doesn't talk to you and doesn't book does not mean they aren't interested. And if you treat them like they aren't interested, I promise you 100% they're going to go someplace else. Because the clinic that gets the patient is one of 2 clinics. It's either the last one she talks to, where everything finally clicks and makes sense, or it's the one that follows up with her after she's called 4 or 5, written down all the answers, and then gone quiet. So please, do not give up on somebody you had a great conversation with. Keep reaching out until they say, please don't call me again, or I've made an appointment somewhere else. But actually, now that I say that, here's a bonus tip, because for that second one, because most clinics treat it as the end of the road, don't. If someone tells you they've already booked at another clinic, you say, wonderful, and then ask when the appointment is. And then go put a task in your CRM or your calendar to check in on that person about a week or 2 after their appointment date. You already had a long conversation with them, right? You probably learned a lot about their life. So follow up goes something like this. Hey, did you go to that appointment? Did it feel like a good fit? Did you get started on treatment? I just wanted to make sure that you're taken care of. And even though you're seeing someone else, if you ever have questions, do me a favor, call me. I'm happy to chat. Because I'm telling you, people go to clinics all the time and it's just not a good fit. And if you legitimately are interested in that person's care, if you legitimately are willing to be a source of information and support them with nothing in it for you, when it doesn't work out where she went, she will be coming back to you. All right, we are going to move into our next section, which is number 3, people who decline initially. Now, we've already touched on this a little, but it deserves its own section because it happens constantly. People go to your website, they fill out your contact us form, you call them, and they say, you know what? Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I'm really not interested right now. Now, it's possible they truly aren't. That happens. But my guess, most of the time, is that this person is not interested. They're not interested in talking to you anymore right now, which is a completely different thing. Because we all know as consumers that a business on the other end of the phone is trying to sell us something. That's just how it works. And for a lot of people, that is genuinely uncomfortable and they want to get off of it as fast as possible. I personally am not one of those people. I love to be sold to. Bring it on. Tell me everything. Overload me with information because the more I know, the better decision I can make. I am a salesperson's dream. I think fast, I process fast, I decide fast, I say yes today, and I clean up my mistakes later. But my husband, he is the exact opposite. My husband is an automatic no to everything. He's a no until he has done days, sometimes weeks or months of research, thought about it ad nauseum. And I have finally convinced him that we need to make a decision. I've watched it. We bought cars. I've watched it. What happens when we've gone to seminars and events where I want to go to the next one. And he's just like, no, immediate no, not a considered no, a reflex. And here's the thing that should stop you in your tracks. Every salesperson gave up on my husband after his first no, he would never have bought anything from anyone in his entire life. So those people exist. They're out there. They're in your leads, and their immediate no is usually not a no to what you're offering. It's a no to continuing to talk to you about what it is right now, which means that person is not somebody you want to push. That is somebody you want to inspire, somebody you educate, somebody you give room to process, to analyze, to look at your competitors and do their due diligence. And if you can learn to respect that people have wildly different buying personalities, that some of them are me and some of them are my husband, you will get so much further in your process because the my husband types do eventually buy something. He always does eventually. And the person who gets that sale is the one who stayed steady, who stayed present, who stayed intelligent, who kept teaching and educating him, giving him what he needed, and didn't flinch when he said no, because steady wins the game. Now that feeds me beautifully into number 4, which is educational nurturing. So we've got our no's, we've got our not nows, we have our still thinking about it and are still doing my researches. What do we send to these people? What almost never works is constantly sending them things that are just about, it's time to book your consult. Put yourself first. Stop putting everybody else ahead of you. How much longer are you going to suffer? Guys, that sales tactic on its own is not going to work. Not on my husband and not on most of your prospects. It would work for me, by the way. What does work is letting people see for themselves what you have and having them decide if it's good for them. And the beautiful thing about this approach is that it's universal. It works on every buying personality. It doesn't feel icky. You're not pushing anyone anywhere. And it genuinely hands people the tools they need to make a decision that's right for them. Here's what I mean. You know that optimized hormones solve an enormous number of problems for people. You know it. You live it every day. You talk about it every day. You've done the research. You've been to the conferences. You've gotten the training. You've watched it with your own eyes in your patients and probably even in your own body. Your prospects don't know any of that. Your prospects know maybe 2% of what you know. Teaching them the other 98, that's educational nurturing. That's emails, that's text messages and follow-ups that feed people information instead of pitching them appointments. It can be studies. It can be anecdotal from your patients. It can be anecdotal from you as the expert in the field. It's sharing the science. It's explaining in plain human language how the body actually works, why these hormones need to be replaced, and most importantly, what the expected result is. What happens when you treat somebody? What does life look like on the other side of being hormonally optimized? Now, I'm keeping this high level on purpose because all of you do this differently. Some of you do hormones alone. Some of you do hormones and peptides. Some of you do hormones, weight loss, and nutrition. There are a lot of different paths to giving somebody their life back. But whatever your version is, you know something real about how the body works. You know what a patient needs based on their symptoms, their age, their blood markers. And you know that when you give them what they need, they get a particular result. So share that freely, openly, and in a way that is actually interesting to read. Do that while they're in consideration stage, while they're in decision stage, and the odds of them becoming your patient go way up. Now let's tie this back to the buying stages because it changes a little depending upon where somebody is. So in the awareness stage, you want to give information away as freely as possible, but you don't have an email address yet. You're not talking to that person directly. What you have is social media. You have your website. You have YouTube channels. So make content that teaches what you know and keep it short. You don't need hour-long webinars anymore because nobody's got an hour to give. A 90-second reel, a 5-minute YouTube video. Teach them one thing they don't know about why this treatment is so valuable. And make sure that it's something slightly unique than what they're seeing from everybody else. And by the time somebody hits consideration or decision, they've probably engaged with you somehow. They've downloaded something. They filled out a form. They called the office. They've seen your social media. Now you can take that same information and deliver it more personally. But it's the same content. That's the point. This does not have to be an insurmountable task. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what do I even teach? I've given this tip on the podcast before, and I'm going to give it again because it works every single time. For 1 week, just take out a notebook, put it on your desk. Pick any week where your schedule is pretty full. And every single time a patient asks you a question, whether they're a new patient or an existing one, write it down. Don't write the same question twice. When they're existing patients, paying patients, absolutely, and definitely your consults. What are they asking you? How long do I have to be on hormones? What's the right age to start? Will I have side effects? I heard testosterone is going to deepen my voice and give me facial hair. Is that true? Just write all the questions down. At the end of the week, go back and pick your top 10 and 15, top 10 or 15. The ones you hear the most, the ones you think are the most vital. Those are the ones that clearly make people the most nervous, the ones that are actually stopping them before they move forward. There it is, guys. That's your content. That's your whole content plan. And it took you 1 week and one notebook. Now, go back and answer those questions on video, in writing, however you're comfortable, and then use those answers everywhere. Social posts, blogs on your website, YouTube videos, and the follow-up sequences that go out to every prospect who downloads something from you. And don't stop after 2 or 3. Here's one of the more unfortunate shifts in marketing over the years. It used to take 5 to 7 touches to convert a lead. Now, if you stayed consistent for 5 to 7 touches, you had better than a 50% chance of that person calling you back and booking. But here's the truth. That's not the case anymore. In 2026, I've seen marketing studies put that number at 18 touches, 25 touches, 40 touches. Part of that is because a touch isn't as direct as it used to be. A touch might be that they engage with a social post or opened an email or took a call from your staff. Those touches carry very different weights, but the total number needed has gone way, way up. And it's almost a cliche at this point, but it's so true. In 2026, trust is at an all-time low. They're calling it a trust recession. Nobody believes anybody anymore. So for you to become trustworthy, you have to be in front of your prospect for a lot longer. They need to hear your voice. They need to hear your stories. They need to get to know you. It's one of the reasons podcasts have gotten so big. If you listen to someone's podcast for a month or two, you feel like you know them. You feel like maybe you're even friends, which, let me tell you a quick story about that. And I may have told this story before, but I had this woman fill out an application for our clinic owners cohort. And when I got on the discovery call with her, she was really quiet. I thought she was shy. So I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And she said, "Well, just give me a second. I'm a little nervous. I've been listening to your podcast for so long. I'm a little starstruck," which made me laugh because I am very much not a celebrity, but she's been hearing my voice for months and now there's a face attached to it. And it was this wonderful moment. We laughed about it. And you know what? She joined the cohort and I'm fairly certain we're going to end up excellent friends because she's an amazing human. But that's the whole lesson right there. The longer you engage with somebody, the more you show up, especially in a live format on video, on Audible, the more they get to know you, the more they like you, the more they trust you. That's know and trust. Those are the 3 things any prospect needs before he or she is going to buy from you. All right, we're at the last point. Why follow-up almost always ends too early. I made it nearly to the end of an entire episode without using the word. the word every marketer overuses, the word every AI response spits out at you: time. Because that's the honest answer to why clinics stop reaching out to prospects too soon. It's time. Look, how many of you have a dedicated lead follow-up call center? Or even one staff member whose entire job is just dedicated to following up on leads? Very, very few of you. And if you have a patient liaison, first of all, I applaud you. That's a real step forward, and I am excited for you. It's such an important role. But even a patient liaison can struggle with this because there are a lot of leads. There are a lot of old leads. There are a lot of patients walking in the door. There are a lot of existing patients with issues who need to talk to her or him about something entirely different. It's a mountain of communication. And think about what I've actually asked you to do in this episode. 5 to 8 touches immediately following whatever lead magnet brought them in, then 6 to 8 months of interesting, evergreen, results-oriented content for those who aren't ready to buy. Continued follow-up with every single person who ever raised a hand. Content for social so the awareness stage people can find you. Blogs, website updates, videos. It's a lot, and it's hard. It's genuinely hard, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not. Look, I've been in marketing for 30 years, and it's hard for me to keep up with my own company. If you don't have systems doing some of that work automatically on your behalf while you're off doing everything else, you're most likely going to fail at it. And there's no way around it. There are 24 hours in every single day and only 7 days in a week. And let's be honest, who comes first? Your existing patients, as it should be. So the number one reason clinics give up too early is that there's no system underneath the effort. And the second reason is that it's really, really hard to keep up with no instant gratification. Think about it. If I could guarantee you that on the 15th touch, you would close every single patient, and that each of those patients that was worth $3,000 a year to you, you would make it a priority. You would find the time. You would hire for it. But nobody can guarantee you that. It's a percentage. Some of the people you follow up will become patients, and there's no timeline for any individual person. So you have to be willing to do the work for the possibility of a result. And that's a hard sell for a busy human being. It's a little like me telling you to follow this fitness program to the letter with only a 20% chance it's going to work, which honestly is somewhat sort of true, but depending upon what you're eating and how you're sleeping and how your stress is and how hard you push at the gym, there are so many different variables. But if you systemize the follow-up, your chances go up because the system runs in the background even when you're busy, when you physically cannot get to those leads. It doesn't have a bad day like some of you can have. Again, I'm going to be the example here. So I told you that Patrick and I do this manual 3-touch thing, right? Voice memo, video 2 days later, email 3 days after that. And I'm not going to lie to you. I have absolutely messed that up. My day gets away from me and I don't do it because you know what comes first? My existing clients. Sometimes I do it late, and there have been a few times where I have never got back to it at all. And some of those people didn't get all 3. You know what? It's fine because we have an automated sequence going out no matter what I do manually. These people still heard from us. They still got emails. They still got text messages. They still got the educational nurturing that we've been talking about this entire whole episode. The personal touches are the add-on. The system is the floor. It's the foundation. That's the right way around. All right. So I've been blabbering on for, about 25 minutes now, and I hope that you're starting to see it. If you're willing to invest time, money, or resources into marketing your clinic, and again, I am still talking to those of you who say you don't marketing because you do get the occasional phone call that starts with, my friend goes here and I have some questions. And even if you have people who come in for a consultation and don't sign up on the dotted line that day, those are all leads. Those are all prospects. Those are all people that you need to nurture. So today's episode is for absolutely everyone listening. Don't give up on leads the minute you get them. Remember that not everybody is ready to buy and that every single person is at a different stage of their own journey. Remember that you have real evidence-based science backing up how valuable your work is and that you have built a clinic environment that takes genuinely good care of people and nobody knows it until you tell them. Remember that people don't answer the phone and that's okay. And it's not a reason to quit. Make no assumptions about anybody's timeline or anybody's commitment level. Just treat every single person like they're still doing their research and they're just not quite ready yet. You do that, and your marketing program is going to excel. Give it some time, and the return you start to see is going to blow you away. Trust me. And as always, if the system we just spent all this time talking about is something you'd like help building, that's exactly what we made the practice automation system for. It's built for every philosophy in this episode, designed specifically for clinics offering hormones and wellness, and it's done for you. The CRM piece, the sales piece, we set it up and we train you how to use it. Now, I don't like to sell on these podcasts, but I really genuinely want you to have the support if you need it. So if you want to see it, go to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com/automation and go check it out and sign up for a demo. It'll be me or Patrick on the call with you. And we absolutely can't wait to meet you. And if any of this sparked an idea and you just want to talk it through, you don't want to go through all the hoops of a landing page, just email me directly. I am Jody, Jody, at acceleratedmedicalpractices.com. All right, guys, I hope you have a fantastic Thursday. And if you haven't listened to the first 2 episodes in this series where we cover the 6 biggest gaps hormone clinics fall into for marketing and sales, go back and listen so you're finally caught up, because we're going to hit number 4 next week. I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to Beyond Hormones, the business of wellness. I hope that you're walking away with fresh ideas and real strategies you can use to grow your practice with profit and purpose. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the show so you never miss a conversation. And if something you heard today resonated with you, do me a favor, share this episode with a friend or a colleague. It's one of the best ways you can support the show, and it might be exactly what they need to hear right now. If you want even more tools and support, go ahead and head over to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com. Until next time, keep doing the work that matters. Your patients need you, and I am cheering you along every step of the way.